All right, welcome everyone. Look, if you are a focused learner trying to completely master the latest data from the Department of Economic Affairs, you are in exactly the right place. Today's explainer is basically your ultimate rapid-fire cheat sheet for the Indian Economic Survey 2025-26. We are going to cut through all that noise, distill the massive volume of data, and literally lock in the most critical exam-relevant statistics and methodologies you absolutely need to know. So get ready, because we are moving fast and focusing strictly on what matters most.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. We'll kick things off with macro growth and GVA, then move right into fiscal health and tax revenues, followed by CAPEX methodology and schemes. After that, we'll cover trade, FDI, and inflation, then a sectoral performance breakdown, and we'll wrap the whole shebang up with employment and social indicators.
All right, Section 1, Macro Growth and GVA, the top-line indicators. Okay, right off the bat, I want you to anchor this range in your mind, 6.8% to 7.2%. According to the Department of Economic Affairs, this is the expected real growth rate for the financial year 2027. Now, for your revision, it is absolutely crucial to contrast this real growth estimate with the Union Budget's estimate, which projects a 10% nominal growth. Understanding the difference between that 10% nominal and this roughly 7% real growth, that is a fundamental concept you just have to have locked down.
So how is that growth actually generated? Well, if we break down the gross value added, or GVA, by sector for FY26, it reveals a pretty stark contrast. Agriculture is sitting at a respectable 3.1%, and industry is at 6.2%, but wow, look at that massive 9.1% surge in services. The services sector is for sure acting as the main engine pulling the entire economy forward right now. And that's largely driven by rapid digitization and this massive explosion of global capability centers setting up shop all across India.
Moving on to Section 2, Fiscal Health and Tax Revenues, Funding the Future.
All right, here is another critical number you absolutely need to memorize, 4.3%. This is the government's super tight fiscal deficit target for FY26. And alongside this, keep the primary deficit target in mind too, which sits at 1.7%. Honestly, these numbers prove a serious commitment to strict fiscal discipline, steadily bringing the deficit down from those massive pandemic-era highs. And to actually manage that deficit, we're seeing a significant shift toward a broadened direct tax base. Check this out. Before the pandemic, direct taxes made up 52% of the total share, but currently in FY25, it has jumped up to 59%. And this brilliantly illustrates something highly testable. Personal income tax collections have seen phenomenal growth. And get this, they've actually surpassed corporate tax collections.
All right, Section 3, CAPEX methodology and schemes, how the government invests.
Listen, if you take away just one methodological definition today, please make it this one. Effective capital expenditure. You see, the DA doesn't just look at what the central government spends. No, they take the central capital expenditure, which is roughly 12.22 lakh crore, and they add the grants and aid given to states specifically for creating capital assets, which is another 1.85 lakh crore. Put those together, and this step-by-step calculation reveals a massive, combined 15 lakh crore effective CAPEX push.
Now, shifting gears from massive macro budgets to targeted micro schemes, let's look at the PM Swanidhi scheme, which supports street vendors. It's actually beautifully structured into 3 clear tiers. You've got a 10,000 rupee loan over 1 year, a 20,000 rupee loan over 18 months, and a 50,000 rupee loan over 36 months. And remember, the real game changer here that you must know for the exam is the generous 7% interest subsidy provided by the government.
Another crucial scheme highlighted in the survey is the PM Mudra Yojana, which actually just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. It offers targeted financial support, providing loans up to 20 lakh rupees specifically for non-corporate, small and micro enterprises. This kind of grassroots funding is absolutely vital because these micro businesses act as massive employment generators at the local level. They're literally the true backbone of the domestic economy.
Okay, Section 4, Trade, FDI, and inflation, navigating the global economy. So recently, merchandise imports grew faster at 6% than our exports, which only grew at 2.4%. Naturally, this dynamic widens the trade deficit. To proactively counter this and boost exports, India is aggressively integrating globally. So the crucial point here is you really need to memorize the specific free trade agreement partners because this global integration is a major recurring theme in the economic survey. We're looking at Mauritius, the UAE, Australia, the UK, Oman, New Zealand, and the European Free Trade Association. Knowing this exact list is just essential for any exam on the current economy. Let's do another quick methodology spotlight, this time on inflation. You really have to know the difference between headline and core inflation. Core inflation excludes highly volatile items like food and fuel. Currently, core inflation is sitting at a steady 4.6%, but headline inflation dramatically dropped to an incredibly low 1.3%. Why? Well, largely because of negative food inflation. Food prices actually decreased, literally pulling the whole headline number way down.
All right, Section 5, Sectoral Performance Breakdown, from Agriculture to AI.
Just look at this massive number, 53.6%. This represents the services sector's total share of India's nominal GDP. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. More than half of the entire nominal GDP of the country is generated by services alone. It just reinforces the sheer undeniable dominance of this sector in the modern Indian economy.
And right within that service and tech umbrella, here's a fantastic, high-energy fact to keep you on your toes. India's tech startup ecosystem is now the third largest in the entire world. And even more surprisingly, by early FY25, India boasted nearly 890 generative AI startups. Crazy, right? It just goes to show how rapidly modern and globally competitive the economic landscape is becoming.
Finally, Section 6, Employment and Social Indicators. The human element.
From a regulatory standpoint, the government executed a really elegant streamlining of labor laws that is, you guessed it, highly testable. They took 29 complex, overlapping labor laws and basically consolidated them into just 4 clear codes: the Code on Wages, the Code on Social Security, the Industrial Relations Code, and the Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Conditions Code. Definitely make sure you can name all 4 of those.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is the fascinating story hidden within these labor metrics. The overall labor force participation rate is sitting at 56.1%, and the overall unemployment rate is at 4.8%. But check out the female unemployment rate. It's noticeably lower at just 3.2%. So while overall female participation in the workforce is still an area for growth, the data clearly shows that those women who are in the labor force are experiencing significantly lower unemployment rates than the national average.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of our data deep dive. We've seen massive fiscal discipline, booming services, and a thriving startup ecosystem. But I want to leave you with this provocative question to ponder for your exams. With such aggressive capital expenditure and a rapidly booming tech and services sector, how must traditional agriculture adapt to keep pace with India's growth engine? It really makes you think deeply about that structural balance. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep reviewing this data and happy learning.